Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's February 26th, 2025, and this is a public meeting of the Portland Committee on Community Engaged Policing, full committee meeting. Next slide, please. And next slide. So tonight we are joined by our facilitator, Teresa, and I'm going to hand it over to her to get us going.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Alonso Leon. I am your facilitator for today. Good to see so many familiar faces, and I'm excited that PCCEP has grown so much. We'll go ahead and do introductions of PCCEP members, and then we'll go to the city and everybody else. Yeah, would you like to get us started?
Tia, are you connected? I see Tia's typing. Maybe let's start with Kip.
Yep. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kip Silverman, he, him pronouns. Been part of PCCEP for a little over a year and a half, and previously of the Settlement and Policies Subcommittee co-chair. And I'll pass it on to, who do I see next? Viva.
Hi, good evening. Viva Campo, she, her pronouns, committee member for the past few months now. And I will hand it over to Kyle.
Let's skip Kyle. And let's go to Conrad.
Good evening, I'm Conrad Hewen. I think what, 4th month on PCCEP? And yep. And we'll pass it off to Carrie.
Thanks, Conrad. I am Carrie Driver, she, her pronouns, PCCEP member for about a year and a half now. And I'll pass it to Leslie.
Hi, everyone. Leslie Martinez, pronouns are she, her, and yeah, I'm PCCEP member, and we'll see what community committees, subcommittees we join. Thank you. I think I'll pass it on to Ashley.
Yep, my name is Ashley Schofield. I use she, her pronouns. I don't think I'm technically the chair of the full PCCEP anymore as of today, but that was a role I had been serving in the last year. And previously before that, I was co-chair of the community engagement team. So thanks everyone. Sorry I was late. I was finishing up dinner and family dinner and all that. So I'm not sure who hasn't gone, if you don't mind. PCCEP. Oh, thanks, Tia. How about you?
So I had I couldn't hear anyone, so I just turned it back on so now I can hear. My name is Tia Palafox, and I've been a member of PCCEP since 2021 and a co-chair of the last community engagement subcommittee. Thank you. And I saw Kip moving his lips, but I didn't hear him. So looking through the group.
I think Odelia's here.
Okay, thank you. Odelia?
Hi. Hey everyone, my name's Odelia. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the co-chair of the community engagement subcommittee with Tia. And I just got here. Sorry I'm late. I don't know who.
So we have shared. Is Sanchez Bautista here? Let's see.
Jorge is unable to make it. I see Devante.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for being a bit late. I did have some work duties to attend to. Yeah, Devante Manyweather, member of PCCEP. Happy to be here. Thanks everyone for coming. Apologize if it sounds a bit muddled on my end. I am in transit, so.
Thanks for joining us. Noel Cuthier.
It's Noelle Cuthair.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Noelle Cuthair here, she, her pronouns. I'm going to be off camera for beginning of this meeting. Not feeling well, but I will join later on. But I am here and present and listening. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Noel. Is Ronak Patel here? Nope, I don't see. Otherwise, I think we've gone through the whole committee. City leaders.
I can get us started. I'm Dory Grabinski, PCCEP Program Manager. Good to see everybody tonight. And everyone else, feel free to just jump in. City monitor, PPV folks, anybody.
Good evening, Mary Claire Buckley from Portland Police Bureau.
I'm Sarah Ames, Deputy City Attorney, she, her pronouns.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Chris Jovic, Deputy Chief, Portland Police.
Evening, Christopher Taft, he, him, and I'm representing Mayor Keith Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. Mark Smith from the court-appointed independent monitoring team. Happy to be here. And I've got a couple of colleagues with me. I'll have to unfortunately drop off about halfway through this meeting, but I do have a couple of colleagues who can introduce themselves who will be here.
Greetings all. Antoinette Edwards, independent monitoring team member. And I'm fully present, but I'm so hungry. I'm going to be eating and I'll try not to chew. And I'm going to take my monitor hair hat off and congratulate Jorge. When I saw him on TV, the youngest young person running for school board, aren't we proud of him? Okay, I'm back to monitoring now. Greetings all.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Russell Bloom, Deputy Monitor for the Independent Court Appointed Monitoring Team. Really glad to be able to join you tonight.
Thank you, Russell. And everyone else who wants to be on the record for being present today. Looks like we have folks sharing their names in the chat. So why don't we go on to community agreements? And can I have, Viva, do you mind reading the community agreements out loud, please?
Sure. Listen actively and respectfully, share airtime, be present and open to new information and perspectives, assume positive intent, respect each other, respect the group, speak your own truth, communicate directly, honestly, and respectfully, ask questions to clarify, call out bias, and be okay with ambiguity.
Great, thank you so much, Viva. So today's overview meetings we're gonna go over updates, have a subcommittee discussion that sounds like it's a continuation. Then we'll have the PCCEP leadership elections, and then we'll have open public comment for those who want to provide any kind of feedback or have questions.
Okay, I can take this one, and PCCEP members who attended, feel free to help me fill in any gaps. It's just a quick update here. PCCEP had a follow-up meeting with members of PPV, including Assistant Chief Lavelle and Commander Dobson, as well as members of the SSD team, to talk about the response that PPV issued to PCCEP's Veil of Darkness recommendation. In that meeting, we were able to talk through some of the challenges about implementing that analysis, and also heard some commitments from PPV about how they would use or review the Veil of Darkness analysis conducted by the state on an annual basis. And so they ended up issuing a second response that is available on the PCCEP website that I think we can put in the chat in just a second. That kind of summarized that conversation. So that response is going to do a better job summarizing than I just did. And I will link it here, or it looks like Ashley just did. Thank you. But yeah, PCCEP members who attended, anything to add?
I honestly haven't been able to digest it yet, since it just came in, so I can't really, yeah, I just wanted to.
Yep, we did just receive it, so the written follow-up.
Yeah. One thing I remember just from the I think it was a good clarifying conversation about what like capacities PPB has and what works and doesn't work compared to the state, and like things are on different schedules, so it's harder. The data would be like a backlog. It could potentially misrepresent the year because like the calendars are offset with the state data and the city data. But one thing that I still kind of have questions about is just like, because there still seem to be like this issue of like, what if the data tells different stories? What do we do then? And that feels like it should be like a good investigative thing, which will help people to like unpack things further. And this is based on the conversation we had, not in the letter. So that's just something I've still been thinking about. But yeah.
Thanks, Odelia. Others?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is I was encouraged that PPB was willing to continue having an ongoing conversation about the stops data reporting, the veil of darkness reporting, and the methodologies. So be interesting to see what we can discuss going forward to make sure that the folks that want a bigger picture or break down some of the disparate complexities, that we can keep working towards that. And I haven't had a chance to read the letter yet, so that might be in there.
Thank you, Kip. Just hold for a few seconds in case somebody else wants to say something.
I thought a fringe outtake of the experience was the awareness that, you know, we can talk through our ideas with PPB or whomever we're writing the recommendation to before we go down too far on one path to help us, you know, in the middle or in the beginning.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, seeing no other thoughts. Oh, we have Devante. Go ahead, Devante. See your hand up.
Yeah, can you guys
You're on mute.
can you
There
guys hear me
go.
okay?
Now we can, yes.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of to echo some of the sentiments of my peers. It was a very informational meeting, and I think that being able to, you know, converse with some of the data analysts, PPB directly, and get that insight was extremely helpful, and it does help us to better inform future recommendations we might make. And just kind of, you know, keeping that in mind, we do have resources or people that we can make inquiries to. It can really help us to streamline and make really well-rounded recommendations. So,
Great, thank you, Devante. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, perhaps we can move on to the next slide.
Yeah, so just wanted to give a little space for something that happened this weekend. I know we had, I believe, 3 PCCEP members. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. attend the PPB Community Academy. I know that
I was not able to make it. I've rescheduled it for May. I've just been feeling sick this past week.
That's fair, Noel. Anybody else attend the Community Academy?
Yeah, if I can jump in.
Sure.
Thought it was very enlightening, very worthwhile. I don't want to oversell it, but I think it's honestly something everyone should do.
Oops, looks like we are having some technical.
Kind of that's the one on.
Yeah, Conrad, we lost you a little bit. If you're able to rejoin us and share your thoughts, that would be great.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. But absolutely worthwhile. The one-on-one meaningful conversations with some of the officers that were there. I highlighted to a couple of you and shared with you. The two big call outs for the entire committee is one, Dr. Lisbeth Gerritsen, who actually works with the behavioral health unit. I think it's really worthwhile that in a future meeting, we invite her. She's directly responsible for a lot of the training that's required for police officers. So if we want to look at impacting everything downstream, I think she's kind of a fulcrum that the committee can utilize in conversation with her officer attaché to actually influence change rolling out to all the officers. And then the other call out is there was 3 city council members there. And I, this is just my opinion, but I consider them all allies in the process. And that was Ryan, Loretta Smith, and Counselor Novak. So call out some potential folks that'll be good for the committee to work with in the future. That's all I have. Sorry, I have to stay off camera. I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi, but it doesn't seem like it's holding up.
Thank you, Conrad. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Go ahead,
Oh,
Devontae.
go ahead.
No, Devontae and I were in a group, but you're a PCEP member, I'm not. So go ahead and share.
Okay, thank you so much, Christopher. I was just going to say that, getting shout out that, yeah, I was going to mention Mr. Taft and I were, got the sign. And, I thought it was really a demonstration of his desire to take the policing in Portland serious. And I really appreciated his insight that he provided and just his interaction and participation in that. I thought that the Community Police Academy was, I had a phenomenal experience. I thought it was incredibly insightful and that I learned a lot. And I do think that there are a lot of different things being done in order to try to ensure that, Portland's officers are really extremely well trained. And as with everything, there are obviously areas of improvement, but I did think that participating gave me a greater scope, I think, of perspective, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. There was a lot of information that was given regarding some of the very real challenges that officers are facing every day, and it really did highlight areas of improvement needed in the community that I think officers are kind of at this time just kind of required to try to field the issues and deal with. But as far as mental illness and the resources that are really needed. So yeah, I thought it was a great learning experience, and I would definitely recommend it to other PCEP members if everyone has not had the opportunity to attend. I did learn a lot. So
Thank you, Devontae. Before we go to the public, any other members want to share? Christopher, you're up. Oh, it looks like Ashley. Yeah, Christopher will go. We'll have you go after Ashley. Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't do the training this weekend, but I just had a couple questions. Maybe just one question. Can members take the training again? Like, can members take the academy again? And then also to those, so that's a question maybe for staff, sorry. And then the other question is actually for those who attended. I was curious if there was any conversations around Community Academy, Policing Academy 2.0. I know there was a little bit of a talk when Leslie and I did it last January, and I followed up with Sergeant Leo. And yeah, just, curious if those conversations were had at the academy this past weekend.
I could probably chime in and answer those. Was somebody else trying to talk? Sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
Yeah, so hi there, Chris Jovic, Deputy Chief. So we're constantly trying to work through our curriculum there to make it better, and we take all of that input from you folks at the end of the day, and I assume they have a debrief scheduled with you all as well, so you have some time to digest and give feedback. So all of that information is put back into the curriculum to make it better for the next group that goes through. So as far as Community Academy 2.0 goes, I think we're on 5.6 or whatever it is, because it's constantly evolving. That being said, a year probably, if we have open seats, you're welcome to come again. I don't know how much substantial change takes place in that year. It would have, it kind of depends on how many times we run it, how much feedback we get, and how much change we're able to implement, if that makes sense. But willing to take any other questions you have on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that that input. I think yeah, I remember we had a debrief. Natasha and Sergeant Leo had come, and I think we did provide that feedback around, because my understanding of the Community Policing Academy 2.0 is to go a little deeper around the community interactions. I think my experience last year, it felt like it was really around how the officers protect themselves and how they approach the reaction gap, and that sort of those techniques, right, and wearing the vest and going out and doing stimulations and definitely getting shot a couple times. So I remember, and then at the end, I think there was some conversations around. I did note that, like, it was really fast that we didn't talk a lot about the behavioral health unit pieces of the Bureau. And so, yeah, I'm just curious if, like, the 2.0 is actually more of a different version, like a different, deeper dive.
I am not aware of a second in addition curriculum being formed right now. Okay. But if that changes between now and the next time I show up and talk to you folks, I'll gladly report back on that. Training is under my branch. So.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
You bet.
Great, thank you. Christopher, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I was going to share has already been shared. I would highly recommend it. Anybody who is involved with policing, whether it oversight or budgetary decisions, I would highly recommend, if you haven't done this academy, that you sign up. It was a very impactful experience.
Great, thank you so much. Any other comments on this topic? Okay, see none. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide.
Real quick, before we move on from updates, I just remembered this in the meeting, but one last update. PCCEP staff had a great conversation with the independent monitor this week. I know that a lot of PCCEP members have been interested in the concept of the town halls coming back, the town halls around the periodic compliance reports for the implementation of the settlement agreement that the COCL used to do, and now the monitor will be doing their version. And you've also shared thoughts over the years about how to improve that process. It sounds like the monitor is very interested in bringing you along in that process and having you help develop what those events would be. So I just wanted to put that on your radar, and that's work for the future. So don't need to discuss too much right now. But I think the hope would be that the new full committee co-chairs and any subcommittee chairs that are interested would be meeting with the monitor team soon to share your thoughts about that process. Monitor team, if you have anything to add at the moment, feel free.
Dory, I'll try to be really quick. Thank you for mentioning that. And I want to not sidetrack the rest of the meeting very much. We really appreciated the meeting that we had. We anticipate more of those. And Dory, you hit the nail on the head. It is a commitment for our team that we work with PCCEP to make sure that these town halls are successful, that they reach every aspect of the Portland community. And that they are meaningful in terms of how we present information. So we wanted to learn about what happened in the past, what was good, what was bad, what can be improved. And we want to make sure that we are truly partnering with PCCEP and getting their consultation in helping us make sure that these outreach efforts are really effective. And so we want you to be a part of that and be part of the success of them based on your guidance to us. And so we'll be listening to that going forward. I'll try to leave it at that, but again, we really appreciated the connection.
Thank you, Mark.
Cool. Alrighty. Okay, so that's it for updates, and I think we're ready to jump into the the meat of the meeting. I guess we've been talking about substantive stuff. But yeah, so as you PCCEP members know, we are going to continue discussing your subcommittee structure. So here is a brief recap of the work you have done. So in last month's full committee meeting, you voted to move forward with a policy and reform subcommittee, and then the concept of a community focused subcommittee. But you agreed that that concept and the current version of the community engagement subcommittee needs to be improved. And so that's kind of what we're having a little space in this meeting to continue discussing. Some of the things that you expressed desire to improve were possibly changing the name, ensuring that equity and communities identified in the settlement are intentionally centered in the work, and improving clarity of work products, making sure that there's more separation between the subcommittees, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. What's next slide, Liz? Okay. So I think we can kind of get into this however you want. I was laying out some ideas here based on what you've been discussing. Which maybe let's go back to this slide and jump ahead to the next one. So just to give you sort of a framework for this discussion, it is possible, I think, that you could still move to elect all of the leadership positions tonight, including co-chairs for this subcommittee. And then your initial subcommittee meetings in the next month and beyond could be spent developing the mission, goals, name, etc. for the subcommittee. So that could be kind of the initial work that you do as a smaller group. Yeah, so I'll just kind of open it up here, and then we can look back at that middle slide I created if anybody wants, if you would find that helpful to look at examples. But yeah, I'll just turn it over to you, PCCEP members. Anyone want to get us started?
Could we go back to that slide you mentioned?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, based on the conversations we've had, the initial meeting, public meeting, and then the working session, and then I feel like this does describe what we talked about for the community-focused subcommittee. I personally would love to see the subcommittee chairs be elected tonight and then have the, the final structure be led by those chairs.
Mhm.
I really appreciated the task listed here because I'm hoping we can be a little more action oriented and doing actual task. And really appreciated talking about the different organizations in the community that we could partner with. That's the real work I would love to do.
Yeah, I think we're in general agreement. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that whatever we come up with tonight and going forward after the co-chairs are elected for the subcommittees, be up to the co-chairs to kind of workshop along with people who join that subcommittee, and we can tweak and iterate as we go along.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Leslie. I'll raise my hand.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I think the leaders of those subcommittees will really have the vision to, move that forward in the direction instead of like being given the direction that they might not necessarily like agree with. My only comment is on the possible tasks for community focus, because I know we talked a lot about this in the work group, but number 2 particularly strikes me with as like, we talked a lot about like that being an all committee thing and not necessarily just being owned by, because, there's members of the policy subcommittee that would be interested in community events and attending them and stuff like that. So I guess my question around that is like, how do we define this community focused subcommittee participation versus, just general interest from committee members? And that may be more of like, that may be not a question that we answer right now, but that's maybe more of a question for the chair as they kind of formulate the structure of the subcommittee.
Yeah, that's a really, really important question, Leslie. I'm right there with you. I think it's maybe not only a question for the subcommittee co-chairs, but the full committee as well. And the steering committee, however that shakes out. Yeah, that is sort of the question, I think. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to comment. I unfortunately wasn't able to be in the work group or be in the last meeting, so apologies for that. But it sounds like you guys really did come up with some really good ideas. I was at the retreat, and I know a lot of those ideas carried on into this sort of proposed plan. And I really like the direction of the tasks. I think these are the things we've been circling around. I'm curious if, well, I'll ask that question later, but because I have a new question and related to sort of what Leslie was saying. What can I ask what was discussed around how the steering committee could help determine like those directions, and then how we bring out the whole full committee together? Just curious what those conversations might have been, if anybody would enlighten me.
When you say those directions, can you help me? What are you referring to specifically?
Yeah, so if the steering committee is going to be all the co-chairs together, sort of thinking strategically ahead of how everything's sort of connecting, would that piece around like how we're connecting or who we're connecting with, within a timeline, would that be a place where the steering committee is talking about it, or are we saying it's I guess we're asking if it's the subcommittee or the full committee, but I'm wondering whether steering committee plays a role in that decision making. That makes sense.
I would say, so this is all, you all are in the process of kind of determining a new, just making adjustments and all of that. So nothing is set in stone, certainly nothing I say, but I would see that as probably the work of the full committee. The steering committee, in my mind, is really more about the more sort of meta kind of agenda setting rather than it maybe some of it is procedural, like what is the strategy about what goes where, and then like what are the work products that lend themselves to those topics that you decide to put in each sub, like I don't know, but I see it more as like a place where you decide what the topics that are of utmost priority are, because as you all know, you could work on 5 million things in this committee, so you're picking those small like 10 things per year that you're working on and then deciding what parts of the committee are working on it. That's more the steering committee as I imagine it. And then like the outreach, the delegation, that kind of thing, like for things like partnering with organizations, that would be more full committee potentially.
And can I ask quickly, Dory? Then would a new staff member dedicated to community events, would that be part of that work? Because it just feels like putting on events right now might not be in our bandwidth, but yeah.
Well, yeah, the future staff person is going to be a part of all of our work, all parts of the committee for sure. But I would think of it like, I don't think you have to worry too much about duplication of work in the community engagement subcommittee and drawing those lines with the staff person, because it's sort of like you as the subcommittee, or whatever part of PCCEP are kind of, your job is to come up with the ideas and to sort of come up with the strategy and maybe put things in motion. And what a staff person is really going to help do is finish the job a lot of the time, like make it happen, right? So that person is going to be very enmeshed in, I think, all parts of your work. I don't know if that kind of makes sense or not.
No, it does. No, I appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. So we have 4 hands up. We'll start with Carrie, then Devontae, then Kip, then Leslie. Go ahead, Carrie.
Okay, thanks. I just also wanted to follow up on the number 2 bullet point that Leslie raised and questioned about. I read it and and maybe I dreamt this part of our discussions, but I imagined that policy and settlement and policy, or whatever it's called now, I'm sorry, it will say, hey, these organizations are really important to me. And then we'll have the full committee saying these are organizations are important. And then the community focused subcommittee would be sort of looking at the big map and saying who's going where and when do we plug them back in, or when do they share their information and how, and just sort of act as the strategic planners for the external relationships, but not be responsible for all the relationships. That's how I read it, and thought it might still be the full responsibility of the committee to have the relationships. Just the community focused subcommittee would be looking at it from the big picture to make sure we're not dropping any balls.
I think that's a possible version of it. I think that's something that could be better fleshed out in like these early meetings that I'm proposing. And it kind of depends on the orientation of the subcommittee overall. Yeah.
Devontae, go ahead.
I suppose I'm just kind of curious about, it was mentioned that like whoever ended up being the co-chairs for the community subcommittee would kind of figure out the task as they go on or as things kind of progress. And I guess I just have some concerns about that because I think that if we're talking about how the committee is going to function or the subcommittee is going to function and benefit the goals of the group as a whole, I think that excluding the members who aren't part of that subcommittee isn't necessarily completely conducive to synergizing the best. That would be my concern. And someone please correct me if I'm misunderstanding, if there's a misunderstanding of some sort.
So just to clarify, are there kind of like two remaining questions that I'm hearing? There's kind of or concerns from multiple folks, not just from Devonte, but kind of like question around or concerns around where ideas originate, and then also questions or concerns around who will actually be engaging community members. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from different folks?
No, I guess to clarify my question or my concern is that I heard it be mentioned that we can kind of just worry about getting everything fully decided and figured out until after the subcommittee, is already up and running. And then the people who are like the co-chairs or the members of the committee would decide exactly what the function of that subcommittee is. And I just don't see that as being completely conducive. I think that the whole group should decide, I guess that's what I'm saying.
Decide on the functions itself is what you're saying. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
I hear your points about the overall function, Devonte, for sure. I think that makes sense. The one thing I'll add is that in my experience working with this committee and its component parts for about 3 years is that one reason I'm proposing it is because it will happen no matter what. Every group of people, the people define the work no matter what. So I think, yes, agreeing about the overall function and the general role it will play in the committee is a good goal. I think it will evolve and shape around the people who are a part of it, not just the leadership, the whole subcommittee, no matter what happens, in my opinion.
And Dory, if I may, just from my limited experience working with this group before, for those of you, we're just meeting, but I've been a facilitator with this group in the past. And some of the things that I remember hearing from PCCEP members who were part of this subcommittee was that it was really important for them to let people in the community know that PCCEP one existed and that you all wanted to expand your membership and wanted folks to know your work. And so to do that, here's the number 2 list here is to do that. Obviously, the full membership or the membership, the community membership or committee subcommittee would go out into community and educate the different partners about PCCEP and invite them to participate in PCCEP and in the meetings, and hopefully, increase your membership capacity for in the future and diversify it. So that is what I heard you all say in the past. And now that you get to kind of reinvent the work that you want to do through this process, it is important that that one, you decide if that is one of the goals you want to achieve, then the person, the chair or the co-chairs get to create a work plan for all of you to be working towards that. And that would mean that in some cases, you are going to work beyond just in our meeting, just meeting here. And so, you know, just I want to throw that out and remind folks from what I had heard before, to have you have that conversation here, and that the chair or the co-chairs understand that that is one of the achievements you wanna hold to yourselves, and the work you want to do. And how does that happen? Well, it's really about, you know, creating a plan and agreeing to that plan. And I know, Dory, we talked in the past that, you know, subcommittees would work together to decide the plan and then come back to the bigger group and present that plan so that the bigger group knew what the subcommittees would be doing, and, you know, would essentially say, that's amazing, or be able to give some feedback. And then that subcommittee would go back and actually work with staff to achieve those goals. And so I want to try to help this group think about it from that structure, so that, you know, so that you can help achieve. So I can help you achieve those goals by bringing you back and centralizing the goals that you had always talked about. Kip?
Yeah, that's a lot. I originally raised my hand because I did want to mention that we didn't really get into the subcommittee work, because that was something we were talking about 10-15 minutes ago. But since then, I wonder if one of the things we keep getting hung up on is the name of the community subcommittee having the word community in it. And if we can think about it in a different manner, because the overall work that this committee does, PCCEP, is community oriented. So I did share a draft prior to this amongst committee members to get ideas on focus areas for each of the committees. And my suggestion, which I'm not saying that we need to decide on a name, but I was thinking along the lines of advocacy and equity, which would be involved in working across the districts, presenting, facilitating, working on inclusivity across Portland town halls, and making those connections, things that everybody's been kind of talking about for the last 10-15 minutes. So I do think, like Conrad had mentioned in the chat, and like you had just mentioned, Teresa, that once we have an idea of what the core focuses are for that subcommittee, more of the details can be worked out and brought back to the full committee for discussion and agreement. So I don't know that we need to get to the end of the road tonight, but I think it'd be helpful to get most of down the road. That metaphor is not working. It's been a really long day, so I apologize.
Thank you, Kip. Leslie?
Yeah, I think we've touched on a lot of what I was going to say, so I'll just kind of like recap a little bit. But I agree. I think part of it is like where the committee, the Portland Committee on Community Engaged Policing. And so there's already that community engaged in the overall overarching goal of what the committee does. That's why I think there's like such distinction, or like such an overlap between the whole committee and like just this little subcommittee within it. I would say that the differentiators that I can see as a potential is really like, I don't know, I'm a visual person, so kind of like from, whereas policy is kind of grabbing things from the community and insight from the community to, you know, guide recommendations and things like that. I think one of the ways that we could differentiate this committee is by educating the community. So, for example, things that this committee could be in charge of potentially, and again, I leave that to the chairs, but, you know, we talked about in our work group how to read directives, what directives and, you know, are coming up that could impact things. I think one of the big successes that we've had is, you know, the body worn camera issue, because the community didn't know about that really, right, until it was really brought to their attention. And we were able to engage with them and make that recommendation. I think that the strength of that recommendation lay quite a bit on educating the committee or the community on what that was in the first place. So to me, that's one of the differentiators that this committee could have. So in that sense, I kind of see it more as like a community advocacy, where it's like to the community and from the community, but it's like for me, the word advocacy encompasses that education, that engagement, that two-way kind of knowledge share. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. Kip?
I think Kip's just clapping.
Yeah, I was just clapping.
Thank you. Devante, I see your hand up.
I think, yeah, I think it's very important for us to, because we don't want to get hung up for too long on, I guess, the surface level content, but I think it's important to kind of have a general idea of what we want the subcommittee to, what purpose we want it to serve. Do we want advocacy to be the primary, the focus? Do we want education to be the primary focus? Should the overall goal be restoration, right? So something like the Normandale, and that kind of closure that was provided by that. What is the overarching goal? It seemed like there are different ideas that are out there about what the overarching goal should be. And I think the name holds importance because it will serve to guide what tasks are specifically stipulated or associated with that subcommittee. So I guess, like, what are some ideas that people have of what the core function or desire for the group is? Is it just to engage the community? To what end? To educate them, to advocate for them, to foster trust and restore and to remedy hurt in the community? What's the function here?
Adelia, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to answer that because I feel like looking at the past few years, we've done like all of those different things that you just listed off. And I don't know if we need to like pick one of those. I think it can be more broad. But yeah, so I guess like I am curious to hear what other people think. For me, I like the open-endedness of being able to do a bunch of different things and not have just like one focus, because we are supposed to do all of these things in the settlement agreement and beyond. So I think keeping it vague actually makes more sense for me and how I'm picturing things. I don't know how other people feel.
So we have Devante again and then Carrie. Go ahead, Devante.
Oh, my hand just never went down from my previous comment. I apologize.
No worries.
But I had mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago, throughout the idea of like the community restoration and equity, and some people seem to think that was. I also wasn't at the last meeting that was held, a work group for this subcommittee particularly. So yeah, definitely, like Odelia said, I'm interested to hear everyone else's thoughts. Maybe that'll help us kind of zone in.
Thank you. Carrie?
Thanks. Just looking at like the three things that you were questioning is maybe the focus, to educate, to advocate for the community, to foster trust. And I don't mean just you, Devante. You did a great job of raising the question of what is the focus. I really see them as all part of a cycle. When we educate people about something and then we collect community input, and then that becomes advocacy, which results in fostering trust. So I don't see it as conflicting focus areas. I see them as a cycle.
I have one thing to add here. I sort of what some of you were saying about the open-endedness. And yeah, I think I see both what Devante is raising, but then those comments about the benefits of open-endedness. I think what I'm trying to do is think about PCEP as one entire organism and how the different pieces support your goals. So we know that some of the very important elements of your work are analyzing policy and making recommendations and trying to understand some of the more detailed things that come up maybe in the settlement or PPP directives or stuff like that. So, you know, that's why we're going with this policy and reform subcommittee. And then there's this whole other side of it where another really important function that PCEP has is just your platform, your space where you get to bring awareness to certain issues or be a bridge between the city and the community on certain things, or you know, help bring information in a space where, you know, it's just kind of a unique space where you get to share information. And so I think the way I'm trying to think about the structure is how to accomplish like both the sort of more procedural policy elements of your work and then also the very important like information sharing, information receiving elements of it. And so yeah, I think the word community is hard, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about the other side of it and the other subcommittee, very broadly speaking, to help achieve the goals of PCEP as a whole organism. Does that make sense? And I don't know if others, I don't know if you all see it that way. That's kind of what how it looks to me.
I think I had Viva had her hand up. Did you want to say anything, Viva?
No, I'll table my thought. I put it back down. I think we can sit with Dory's question for a little bit.
Okay.
Go again. I feel comfortable sort of with the way that we've talked about the focus of the policy side of things. And for the first time in this meeting, I understand the problems with having community in the name, which I hadn't really thought of before. But I don't feel uncomfortable with the sort of how we would figure out what work goes where, which was one of the major goals of this reshaping. So.
Odelia, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the more we talk about this, I get more and more confused and like about what's going on. And like I'm just reminding myself like what we had prior to these conversations wasn't working well. So hopefully something that looks different will. And that's like kind of getting me through this, but I just wanted to put that out there because I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but I'm like, why not? Let's do it. But yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, I think that is just an effect sometimes of talking a lot about something. Noelle.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally hear what Adelia is saying too. When we go in these circles and just go through more and more details, it kind of gets pretty weedy. But my own vision for what this subcommittee would look like whether it be communities in the name or not in the name, it is about connection building with the community, as well as education, getting feedback, and involvement. So I just wanted to speak out and kind of share what my idea of that subcommittee is. Of course, there's more detail in it, but thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Leslie?
Yeah, so I also wanted to note, if it wasn't super clear, that most of the things that I was saying was more for like whoever moves forward with leading that committee to consider as they kind of like guide it. Just like sharing what I, as the general committee would think is important, but ultimately it's, their decision. I will also like to add something that, maybe I forgot that we talked about, but for the independent monitor, their community engagement team. And I don't know if that also has a place with how it interacts with this committee. Specifically, I know that we will be interacting as a committee with as a whole. Yeah, just also wanted to bring that. But again, it's more of like things to think about as that work plan gets, fleshed out.
Thanks, Leslie. Ashley?
Yeah, thank you. Just some ending thoughts on my end of yeah, being on the committee for almost 3 years this summer and just sort of going through some iterations and being here in the beginning when we first sort of did this revamp of subcommittees. And process is probably my least favorite part about being a committee member. It's just, Dory knows I've complained about it a lot, but it's important, and we're laying the stones for this the credibility and the legitimacy of the committee, and like the stewardship to like the new members that come through. And so but with that said, I think what I've always come to experience is like things do work itself out, and the work often guides us on the prioritization of that, how we put things forward. And then also like, so that concludes like what we hear from the community. And so I think this new structure just really makes sense. I think we're all I'm really glad that like new members got to be in this conversation. I think that's really important too, so that we're all sort of on the same page as we forge ahead together. And I don't think it'll hurt as much as we probably think it is. I think we've got some good tracks, and that's like really important. So I just think, yeah, maybe we move forward with vote for all the chairs, and then yeah, dedicate some future time to sort of hash out like what this looks like, and yeah, of course get it approved by the full committee. And then again, I think the work will just sort of guide us on the topics we work on. And then it'd be really great to get out in the community. I'm really excited for that. I think that's amazing. That's been a goal of ours for a long time. So that's really exciting. I feel like we're finally in this world where like people want in-person stuff more than the Zoom meetings. I know I see that in other community spaces I'm in. So let's do it. Yeah, like Adelia said. Thanks.
That's great, Ashley. Thank you for those observations and sharing your experience over the years. Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think it sounds a lot more overwhelming because we've been talking about it a lot, but a lot of times, yeah, the work does guide the structure more than it sounds like. I also don't want to put too much pressure on the future chairs. I don't foresee this being like, I feel like it's sounding like they will need to make these decisions and have the vision and figure it out. I don't foresee that being the case at all. I think they will play a role, as the chairs always do, but it will be, I think, a subcommittee effort, all the members of that subcommittee. I also thought Conrad's suggestion in the chat was really great. Conrad, could you share what you suggested?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to share what's worked well in some of the other committees I've done is we kind of task a subcommittee, and then based off of the folks that are on that subcommittee, they can bring it back to the committee with what the key focuses are, to Devonte's point, which is a very good one. Appreciate you saying that. But that also empowers those subcommittee members, empower some conversations, and then we can get consensus from the full committee. So I think that really, gets to the heart of what we're trying to do on tight time schedules, but also respects the dynamics of the focuses of individual committee members.
Yeah, that's a really helpful process clarification. And I think that addresses Devonte's concern. Sounds like Devonte agrees in the chat. And I think what might help is putting sort of a timestamp on it, like saying, by this month or whatever, by this full committee meeting, we will hear reports from the subcommittees about the direction they're proposing to move in and, whatever else they would like the full committee to consider, and then can ask the full committee to approve that or provide additional feedback.
So Dory, in this case, if folks are saying, let's go ahead and do the elections, then we would technically request somebody who wants to self-nominate or nominate somebody else to be in the committee-focused subcommittee, and then potentially after the fact, they can change the name if that's something that the group decides to do.
Yeah, yep, I think that would be the idea, which technically I think the subcommittees could do at any point anyways, if they decided, but that would be the case here since the full committee has already requested that change.
Great. Any other thoughts or comments? All right, my apologies. My allergies are kicking in. Medication's wearing off. Okay. So then, Dory, should we move on then to the next slide, or do you feel like we need to do a little bit more discussing on this topic?
Seems like it's reached a natural conclusion here in my estimation of things. Folks agree with that? Okay. So yeah, one point of order before we move into elections. So per the PCCEP bylaws, no member may run for the same position for more than 2 consecutive terms, or may serve in the same position for more than 2 consecutive terms. Tia has served as community engagement co-chair for 2 consecutive terms. Perhaps a bit of a technicality, but since you are moving to change the subcommittee slightly, I wanted to put it before you, whether you PCCEP members feel that this would be considered a 3rd term for Tia. And I apologize if folks are being put on the spot here, but we just realized this before the meeting that perhaps it would maybe be a little bit of an opening. So yeah, I think that's a decision that you all need to make per your bylaws and how you'd like to interpret them in this case. And let me know if you're understanding the question. Essentially, the question is, do you feel that the community engagement subcommittee is the same subcommittee?
No.
I do think it is.
Can you put the language do you have the language from the bylaws?
Yeah, it is. I think it is pretty much no member may serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the same position, but I will link that here
Thank you.
in the chat now. And I can probably pull the language too.
Wow, it gives the entire bylaws. Can I highlight this section and put it in the chat?
Yes,
Tia.
please.
It's 8 pages long, the link. mission. I'm reading
Sorry,
it.
I'm doing that right now. It is
Okay.
very short.
Thank you.
I think the question is simply how you view the community focused subcommittee moving forward.
If I can be candid, if there was no one else running for the position and no one wanted, I think that that's a different scenario in which I don't have any concerns or complaints about the way Tia has been performing. But at the same time, we can't say that it's not the same because we don't even have all the tasks or core functions determined at this point in time. So as far as we know, it's still exactly the same until that's been figured out, and then we can look at how it's different. And then how different does it have to be um, for that to not be an issue? But once again, if there's no one else running for it and no one else wants to do it, then I don't see an issue at all with Tia maintaining that.
Ashley?
Yeah, this is really hard because Tia, you are a rock star co-chair. And I think when I was co-chair with you, definitely leaned on you a lot in terms of that like community connection, relationship building. You just were able to get out there and it feels like the direction. So I feel like I am in the camp where the direction of the like what we're trying to do for the next iteration of community engagement subcommittee or whatever name it's going to be does feel like the same intent. And it does feel like it'd be perfect for you to lead that. And so I'm not against that, but I just wanted to say I hope you would at least stay as a member because I think I think it's like thinking about like wanting you on it. And I know we have bylaws so that we can sort of like keep a good cadence. In full disclosure, I am planning to run for co-chair. I want to throw that out there. And I've asked some other folks, just like, you should raise your hand too. So the reason why I stepped back from co-chair, the full committee, was one, I wanted to let new people come in. So I just, wanted to share that thought of like, being on the camp that I think it is kind of the same subcommittee, same intent. And that Tia's work is super valuable to that direction that I feel like we're trying to go with it. So I don't know if that offered anything helpful.
Yes, I was expecting to run for it and then I had everything. I was just ready to do it. And then today I got the news that I couldn't. So I was like, I'll do something because I really love the leadership position. But yes, of course, I'm going to stay. I have 8 years to stay on it.
Yes, no question about Tia's value and incredible leadership. I think the question is must we depersonalized? And I apologize, this is a weird one. It really is about your interpretation of the bylaws in this kind of unusual case. Not 100% sure how to move forward here. I think it's up to you whether you would like to maybe vote or show, I don't know, it's a strange thing to vote on. But if there's maybe consensus about whether the purpose of the new subcommittee is substantially similar to the previous community engagement subcommittee, in which case that would preclude Tia from running again. Or if you feel that it is not.
Just jumping in to say I agree. I think it is the same. We can't say it's not the same as it's not fully formed yet. So thank you.
Maybe just a quick show of hands, folks who feel that it is essentially the same. Okay. Yeah, I think that is enough. Thank you all for engaging in that. And again, I appreciate you all hanging with the awkwardness there. But that's why we have bylaws, and sometimes we do need to interpret them. Okay, thank you all. So I think now we can move on with getting elections started now that everyone has full information. Would you all like to take a short break before we start that?
I see Leslie's hand up. Leslie, was that in?
Oh,
did you
Sorry,
forget?
no,
Okay.
I just didn't put it down after voting.
Okay. So a quick break, 5 minutes.
Are we gonna have a break after to vote as well?
We are. So I think it's really just a question for those running for co-chair. If you would like a break, full committee co-chair, if you would like a break before taking that on.
I'm ready to rock.
Okay. Confident. Okay. All right. I think we can move on, and then you will have a break to vote. You will have 3 breaks to vote. Okay. Alrighty, so a quick overview of how we're gonna do this. So we're moving forward with electing all 6 positions, hopefully. We'll do it in this order. So we'll begin with the full committee co-chairs. And next slide, please. All right, you may only occupy 1 chair seat at a time. If you do not win your first choice seat, you may run for another position later in the meeting. We are going to turn the chat off during the elections. And this vote is unique. We do not take public comment on these votes. And I think there's another slide here. Yeah, so we will ask you to nominate yourselves. You may also nominate each other. We have 3 questions for you that we've sent out in advance. So we'll go through and everyone will answer question 1. You'll have 3 minutes, and then everyone will answer question 2, and so on. You may cast 2 votes. You may vote for yourself. Your votes are cast confidentially, but they do become a part of the public record. And we will announce the results after the voting break. So we will take a break. You'll receive a link to a survey ballot in your email, and then you will fill it out. And when we return, we announce the results. Any questions about the process of voting?
Essentially, we'll have 3 mini breaks then after each voting.
Correct.
All right.
Okay. And moving on. All right, so first up is the election of our full committee co-chairs. So at this time, if you are interested in running for full committee chair, please raise your hand, and you may also nominate a fellow member. Just gonna give it another couple of seconds here. Make sure we have all the hands up.
So if you want to nominate somebody, feel free to raise your hand as well so that you can share who you'd like to nominate.
Okay. Alrighty, I think we are ready to proceed. We have 2 fantastic candidates, and we are going to still go through the process of hearing from you. So now we will bring up those questions, and you will have 3 minutes each, and I will cut you off. And I'm going to use a random order generator to decide who goes first. And that's going to be Devonte. Okay, let me get my timer. And we can go to the first question here. All right, go ahead, so the question is, please describe your leadership style and how PCEP members can expect you to represent them in your role. And go ahead.
Thanks, Dory. Yeah, I think that my preference and leadership style is really a collaborative one. I think that we are a committee of very intelligent and diverse individuals, and I think it would be a waste not to really pull from that experience and that wealth of life experience. For me, having a collaborative leadership style. I think that frequently, inquiring about the opinions or thought processes of my colleagues and of the other PCEP members is really going to help me to be able to best move forward and make decisions in a way that represents the voice of the overall group, and really effectively be the voice for the community as a whole, based on the feedback that we're getting. And I really do think that first and foremost, really leading in a way that makes sure that all members feel included and represented in all the decisions that we make is important. And that's something that I can commit myself to doing. And also, I think that another strength of mine as far as my leadership is constantly analyzing and reevaluating. Being able to have a way to gauge whether or not something is really working and is allowing the group to be as efficient as possible and forward moving is something that I think that I would be able to do quite well. And so that's what I think that I would be able to bring to the group as far as leadership style.
Thank you, Devonte. And Odelia, we will now move to you. You will have the same 3 minutes, and you can start now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Devonte. I think I feel like pretty similar to Devonte in terms of collaboration and the importance that like each of us as individuals bring something different. Yeah, anyways, so I'm really excited to work with Devonte too. I think like we got to chat. Sorry, this is like, no, it's just funny. We got to chat a little bit last week about him potentially running, and I think us working really like in tandem too, I think could be really special. And like everyone in this space has their own beliefs and disagrees with each other and agrees with each other. And I think that we can still move forward with that disagreement and with that like uncertainty. And I think that's something I really want to bring to this space, and also like being able to represent PCEP in the community to ask folks in the city like difficult questions and get the answers that people deserve, and like I'm really into transparency, and I think that can always grow. And so being able to like take that on too. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop there, and hopefully like nothing else happens next time.
An impressive display of poise. And
That's what I'll bring to leadership.
and you still made great time on that answer. Okay, moving on to question 2. And back to Devonte. PCCEP has been in recent talks about improving the structure of the committee. How do you see yourself contributing to these needed changes as a part of leadership? And go ahead.
Yeah, I think that in some of my responses, just in regular conversation, I've kind of demonstrated that. I'm really, um, I really truly do believe in strengthening accountability, and making sure that we as a group have ways to track progress and ensuring that however we end up landing as far as the restructuring, that it ends up being something that allows us the subcommittees and the overall group to really synergize and work well with one another while also being self-sufficient in what they were tasked to do. And I think that we do that by really taking a look at all the different aspects that we want and functions that we want the group to be able to fulfill, and figuring out how to cover any potential areas of weakness, and making sure that we instill safeguards so that each group is able to fulfill its intended role. A large concern that we had previously was too much bleed over between committees. And so really making sure that we're outlining with clarity what we desire to be the goal and the impact that the subcommittees and the restructuring has for the community. And I really do believe in healthy discourse as well. There's so much insight that can be gleaned from having discourse with others who may have a different opinion than yourself. It's an excellent way to temper my own perception, and I think that I'm able to do that all the time in this committee, and I really do love and enjoy that. And I think Odelia, and I have been able to have healthy discourse many times, and it's never been an antagonistic relationship. And so I'm really thankful that we are able to have that healthy discourse, and I'm able to learn more every day and expand my horizons. So I think that that's something that I would be able to bring in the efforts to restructure, and stay and remain forward looking as a committee. So.
Thanks, Devante. And Odelia, same question to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think one thing that I want to bring is like more organization for me. Like I thrive with like lists and charts and like seeing things visually or like on a calendar. And I know this can sound like very tedious, but I think it's important to just like stay more in check and also understand that like things move slower than we intend, and PCEP things move very slow and it's actually good for the process, but just like keeping everyone on track more and really having like dedicated time in our meetings where we're all together of having like solid updates and solid conversations about recommendations and how everyone feels. So it's not like a few people moving something forward, but everyone's on the same page. So I think making more time for that within like public meetings, I think will be really great, especially based on the feedback we've been getting. So just like organizationally, I hope I can help bring some of that in. And then yeah, just like the steering committee too, I'm really excited about, and for just more buy-in from everyone so there isn't people don't feel like I've said it before, but I used to feel obligated to go to every PCEP meeting because I didn't understand the difference between any meeting. And so like making sure everyone does feel like they are doing what they can and like at their capacity and not needing to do everything. So just like trying to keep subcommittees aligned, and hopefully Devante and I can help with whatever that looks like. We still have to figure it out. So yeah.
Thank you, Odelia. And moving on to question 3. For Devante, please describe your vision for the future of PCEP over the course of the next year and beyond. Please be specific. This can include content you're interested in, methods of engagement, types of events, etc. And go ahead.
Yeah, so I think my vision and I think my goal is maybe a rather unique one. And uh I think that in increasing the wellness of finding ways to address wellness within DPB officers is a great way to potentially improve interaction with community that officers have, therefore helping to foster some restoration and trust building. I know that staffing has been an issue within the Bureau, and there are officers that are working countless hours of overtime. And I think that when you are running yourself to your wit's end and you're exhausted, that it can contribute to maybe some negative interactions in the force. And so finding ways to address wellness uh, within the force, I think, is something that would benefit the community as well. And another initiative that I have been strongly considering is the hiring process in general with PPB, and wanting to see if there's ways that we can find improvements and making sure that they are fully staffed. That way, officers aren't expected to run it to do as much overtime and have more to contribute when they are out there. Um, and I think more transparency in the hiring process as well. I think that that has been a point of concern, and wanting to make sure that it really is diverse and that the community is represented within the force, and that the community feels as if the officers themselves are also community members, and sometimes it's hard to remember that when there's distrust. So I think that that's one of the hiring process and representation is something that I'm very passionate about. And I think that the force should represent the community, and that's something that I do think that I would like to address within the next year. And I am interested in having more community events, events where we can just speak with the community and hear their input about concerns that they have, and beyond what my personal passions or goals are, tailoring what we are doing as a committee based on some of the really large concerns that the community members are expressing. And we can really kind of drill down on what those concerns are by interacting with the community. And so, different engagements can be like town hall events. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to helping to facilitate.
Thank you, Javante and Odelia. Same question to you. You can start now.
Awesome, thanks. I have so many things I'm interested in doing, so hoping to like hone it in with everyone else. But one thing I've been interested in for the past year or so has been the community board for police accountability and just police accountability in general. I know like there's been recent conversations about it at council and things changing, and I think staying up to speed on what's going on with like police accountability is super important to me. And ensuring that like what Portlanders voted for is going into effect. Another thing that I've talked to a few PCEP members about this already, but something I think would be worth us like looking into or exploring more is with the officer shooting and killing of Manny Clark, who which was, oh, I don't remember the date. But I think there was an investigator found that there was misuse, and the independent police review board chose not to fire the officer, and kind of went against the investigators' suggestions. And so while like the community board for police accountability is hopefully going to change that process, I do think in the meantime, like accountability still isn't happening for all officers necessarily. And so I think, again, I don't know what we can do. We can't reopen the investigation, but I think it's worthwhile because we do have power and leverage at the city to do something about that, and not let that just like kind of go under the radar. Yeah, and then what else? I think I've been very interested in like the rapid response team and protest response, and kind of more transparency around police surveillance and technology and what that looks like with like facial recognition and AI and drones and all of those things. I just think Portlanders need more information and answers to how they're like potentially being seen or not seen, everything like that.
Thank you, Odelia. Okay. I think that covers it for our questions for the two full committee co-chair candidates. We, I guess, do have an option here. I think it still might be nice to have a break if people want it. But because there are two candidates and two seats, we can also do the voting here in the meeting. I think, yeah, we can still send the ballots out if you would prefer to do it that way. Or we can just confirm here in the meeting. It is up to you folks. Is it more work for you to do the ballot?
I would say let's simplify and just do the, you just said C, like the word with a C, confirmation in the meeting right now.
Okay. Does anyone second Leslie's motion, so to speak? Okay. All right, you can stop screen share. And I think I will suggest that we still take a break after this vote, just a short break. But if you would like to approve both Odelia and Devonte as the full committee chairs for the two open positions, please raise your hand. And you may vote for yourself. I think we have everyone. All right, we have two new co-chairs. So congratulations to Devonte and Odelia. I'm so excited for the two of you. Two incredible members, and I think a really, really exciting team of members as well. Yeah, so many sort of different perspectives that you just shared just now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you work together and how that shapes the committee. So congratulations to both of you. All right. Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and do the subcommittee elections. Okay, see you all at like 7:48. Hoping to see everyone trickling back in here. Okay. We ready to get started again?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, now it is time to elect our subcommittee co-chairs. So I think we will start with policy and reform. And we will just repeat the process. So if you would like to run for a policy and reform co-chair seat, please raise your hand. Or if you would like to nominate someone else.
And I'm raising my hand to nominate someone else.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying. Anyone else, including nominations?
Can you repeat the initial question?
So, this is for people to raise their hand to either run for a seat, or you may nominate another member, and they can then accept or decline that nomination, but you may nominate someone if you feel that they would be a good fit for this role.
And Ashley's indicated she's not running, but she's gonna nominate somebody.
Great, love to see that we have some folks nominating. Oh, awesome, okay. Cool, all right, so Kip, I believe you've indicated you are planning to run. And then as for the rest of you, whether you're running or you are nominating, you can go ahead and share with us.
I will go. I wanted to nominate Tia. I think Tia is a really good leader in this space, and since she can't do the community subcommittee, I think the work she wants to focus on with mental health and youth, I think would be as good in the policy and reform subcommittee. And I just texted her, so I told her I was going to do this. So you can accept or decline, Tia.
Okay. I'm seeing all the hands too of people, and I don't want to take someone who's new and wants to get into leadership either, but I would love to work with Kip and be part of the team. So I really want to take things forward to the steering committee and the full committee. So I would love to run for that as well, but
Great, we will consider that an acceptance.
okay,
Thank you,
yes.
Tia.
Yeah, thank you.
Viva, go ahead.
There we go. Sorry. I didn't tell this person or talk to them at all, so I'm putting them on the spot here, but I really hadn't given it a lot of thought. But I think Conrad would be a great asset to the policy committee. I really appreciated his organization, also his you can kind of see some strategy behind the way he engages and is really proactive. And yeah, I think it would just be a great addition. So sorry to put you on the spot there, Conrad, but I think you'd be great.
Thanks so much, Viva. I sincerely appreciate it, and I am very interested in leadership in the future. I would like to take this cycle. I'll respectfully decline at this time. I'd like to earn my stripes. But you can see me on the next go around. How about that?
And we have Devante.
Hello, everyone. I would actually like to nominate someone that I also did not speak with. So I apologize in advance, but I would like to nominate Viva for the community engage, whatever it's going to be, the community subcommittee. Um, the way that she engages, I think, is very holistic, and I think that she has a very nuanced approach, and it's very tactful, and I think that she would serve very well in a leadership role.
I'm gonna quote my friend Conrad here, but I also really do appreciate. I had someone else reach out to me too, and it's nice to hear when people see potential in you. And so I really do like that. And I think for me right now, I have more to learn before I'm ready for that. So thank you.
Delia?
Yeah, in the spirit of nominating people without talking to them first, I'm gonna get in line. I want to nominate Noelle. I feel like Noelle has been really great at honestly everything you bring to the conversation and the table, but specifically I feel like when we have looked at policies, you have a way of understanding them and articulating them that's super helpful for me and getting into things, and I would love to see you in a leadership position. And yeah, it's up to you. No pressure. Sorry.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I am new, I started at the same time as Comrade and Viva, sorry. But I am gonna go ahead and accept the nomination. I know I'm new to this, but I'm open to learning, and I think I can handle it. I can definitely do that, as well as be collaborative with whoever I need to as a co-chair, and be open to feedback. So I'm up to learning it. Thank you.
Thank you, Noelle. So, Jory, it looks like we have 3 candidates for policy and reform.
Yeah, fantastic.
Wait, can I confirm? Noelle, are you accepting nomination for policy reform or the one that I reached out to you about?
I think I'm going to, if I can do both, I'll do both. If I'm
okay, yeah.
If this one doesn't work out, then I guess the next one.
Got it. Sounds good.
Yeah, per the bylaws, you are only allowed to serve in one leadership position at a time. So you do have to choose. I will maybe maybe it would be helpful to finish the announcement and nomination cycle for the second position as well, to help inform people's decision. Because it is occurring to me, I do believe we only have one declared candidate for community engagement currently, and Tia is ineligible. I'm not sure if that would help people make their decisions, or
that really helps inform my decision. If that way, I'm not choosing it. It's not the last option for me. I would prefer to do the subcommittee that is more community engaged. I definitely am open to policy and reform, but knowing that that is an actual opening, I would take that.
Okay, that's great to know that having more information is helpful, of course. Okay, so I guess we can just maybe should we round out so we have 2 declared candidates in that case for this position. I think then we can just proceed with that. Any further nominations or people wanting to declare?
Wait, are we gonna do the community engagement?
We could if you want to do it that way. Or we could, I guess the results won't have an impact. So yeah, we can do it that way.
Just, I guess, for Noelle to know, like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's okay for all three of us to run. And if I don't get selected, it's totally fine. I love being a member. And will continue being a leader when I can.
Thanks, Tia.
Is anyone else interested in the community-focused subcommittee other than Ashley and Noel?
Don't make me the only co-chair, please.
I nominate Noelle.
I think we're all confused. I think Noelle was accepting the nomination for that one, if I heard it correctly.
Yeah, no, I was making a joke.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Let's just move forward. I apologize. I think I made this confusing. So let's move forward with the policy and reform election. I believe we have all the declared candidates and nominations. And I believe that is currently Tia and Kip. Is that correct? Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
So
I think that's what I heard.
All right, let's proceed with that. So let's get those questions. Thanks for bearing with
do we
me,
still have to
everybody.
talk? Okay.
You still have to talk. Yeah, we want to understand you better.
I got a crushing headache, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kip.
No, it's fine. That's good.
Okay, gonna determine the order randomly here, and we are going to start with Tia. And here is question 1, and you can begin after I finish reading. Please
Okay.
describe your leadership style and how PCCEP members can expect you to represent them in your role. You can begin.
Okay. My leadership style is definitely being a good listener and reflecting back what I heard. I remember what people say, and I have a good sense of how people are feeling. I take lots of notes and value each person's ideas. I think being a listener and reflecting back comes from my school counseling skills. And I'm really organized, dedicated, and reliable. I wanted to also add that due to my brain injury and my anxiety, sometimes I get flustered online and with my processing, but I feel like I'm a really strong leader because I'm a good listener and reflect back and hear people, want everyone to be involved and value everyone's opinion.
Thank you, Tia. And Kip, same to you, and you can start now.
Now I'll just use what Tia said, but leadership style. I work to be inclusive, open, and direct. I take great effort to articulate my thinking process behind an idea or position and get as much input as possible for others. I truly appreciate multiple viewpoints, even when I may have a different take or opinion. And I do my best, which I've tried to put in the last year that I've worked as a co-chair. I try to do my best to incorporate an agnostic approach to problem solving. We work on very complicated and emotionally charged topics, so I attempt to navigate them with respect and deference. When I don't get that right, I try to recognize it and do better. I believe in an egalitarian approach to committees, regardless of titles. Each of us make the whole stronger, and I tend to advocate and work to ensure we are doing the right things for the right reasons at all times as part of a inclusive committee.
Thank you, Kip. Moving on to question 2. PCCEP has been in recent talks about improving the structure of the committee. How do you see yourself contributing to these needed changes as a part of leadership. Go ahead, Tia.
One of my biggest strengths is building connections and relationships with people in the community. And I feel like I am the connector and relationship builder. I'm currently in schools and reaching out with youth and youth leaders. I'm constantly working and having coffee with stakeholders across the community, including Portland Police Bureau, officers in training department. I am working in several different agencies, mostly in mental health and houselessness. And those things are really important to me. I want to continue working with people in mental health crises and hear the youth voices. I also have time to do this work as I'm a retired volunteer and see this as my job.
Thank you, Tia. And Kip, same question to you. You can start now.
So I've been sharing and discussing some ideas I have on how we can work overall in a more programmatic way. So we have a clearer path to come to recommendations and statements and facilitate discussions. Been documenting some workflows and work products and making the work we do and attempting to, this isn't a great sentence, I apologize, and attempting to make the work we do more accessible and transparent, which is some of the feedback we've heard over the past months. So I've been trying to facilitate conversations on the ideas I have and how we can implement what's been asked for. I'm hoping if I'm chosen to be a co-chair again, that my co-chair and I can facilitate discussions to ensure that everyone involved with the subcommittee has the opportunity to share their voice and ideas and have more cross conversations with the other co-chairs. I am looking to iterate and evolve so we continually get better as our connections through community grow and we have more help with outreach and the new city structure and all that should bring to the table.
Thank you, Kip. And question 3. Please describe your vision for the future of PCCEP over the course of the next year and beyond. Please be specific. This can include content you're interested in, methods of engagement, types of events, etc. And go ahead, Tia.
Again, staying connected with the relationships that I've been making to be able to continue being involved in my community around safety and just policing. Collaborating with stakeholders, other police committees, especially the Community Engagement Subcommittee, or the Community Engagement Department, and community to continue to check in and hold police accountable around use of force towards people who have mental health issues, as well as our Black and Brown community. Keep up on stops data, as I know that stops data can often lead to use of force. And also I've been working on a youth project for youth outreach. And my methods would be to do what I'm already doing by going out and meeting with people.
Thank you, Tia. And Kip, same to you. You can start now.
Thank you. From a policy and reform aspect, being able to address some of the most challenging aspects, use that word twice, to getting beyond the settlement agreement should be the primary focus, especially with details under the use of force directives and input from the independent monitor. We should also, in policy and reform, be reserving time for first and second review directive changes and offer the subcommittee as a venue to discuss them, as well as other directives the community feels we should be focusing on. Everything we work on should have a clear set of goals focused on equity and the best possible engagements and outcomes for the city's first responder network and the people they engage with. We know things are chaotic and rapidly changing, but being more strategic for the long term while being able to address immediate and urgent needs should be continual balanced discussion that this committee should have. I would seek to bring in more subject matter experts along with neighborhood and community representatives and have more robust panel discussions. I'm super excited with additional city support and a well-represented city council. We will be able to greatly broaden our outreach to include voices and opinions that we need to do better work as our committee was originally envisioned to do.
Thank you, Kip.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. And that concludes the questions for the Policy and Reform Subcommittee candidates. As there are again 2 candidates, we can follow the same procedure as the last vote. I did realize I should have asked you one candidate at a time. So if you would like to confirm Kip as one of your subcommittee co-chairs, please raise your hand at this time, and you may vote for yourself. All right. Believe that is unanimous. Excellent. And you can just keep your hands up if that's easier, or raise them again. If you would like to confirm Tia for this position, please raise your hand at this time. Wonderful. All right, we have 2 new Policy and Reform Subcommittee co-chairs. Congratulations to Tia and Kip. Another great team with a very diverse skill set. Very excited to see the work that you do. And thank you both for stepping up, and really looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for the nomination, Ashley.
Yay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the nominations all around. That was really nice. Okay, and then cruising right along. Let's it's already 8:10. I can't believe it. I am feeling it, but I can't believe it. Okay, so our last election of the night is going to be for our community focused subcommittee co-chairs. And so I think we have a couple interested folks. Ashley and I believe Noel has accepted a nomination as well. If anyone else would like to nominate an additional candidate at this time, or would like to announce, please feel free to do so.
I see Leslie's hand thus far.
Sorry, forgot to put it down.
Okay, just kidding.
All right, not seeing any movement here, so I think we can get right into it. Ashley and Noel, are you all ready?
Yes.
Great. Okay. And I will look at my order here, and it looks like Ashley will be going first. And we'll get question 1. All right. Once again, question 1, please describe your leadership style and how PCCEP members can expect you to represent them in your role. And you may start now, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first off, I just want to say out loud the reason why I decided not to run again as full PCCEP committee co-chair. I just really believe in sharing the work. I believe in succession plans. I think a good committee is built on good processes, not necessarily the good people help those processes along, but I didn't want to just stay in a role when I knew there was a lot of new faces. I wanted to be cognizant of more than one white facing woman being in the role, and I just wanted to allow there to be diversity, so I stepped aside. But with that said, I really did still want to stay on the leadership in a leadership role for the committee. And I'm really excited to be able to do that here with the community subcommittee, which I had previously been on in a previous iteration. And through that work, and even through my work as co-chair, things that I believe I was able to show and present in real time were I'm a commitment to transparency. Here I really take it seriously to, I know there's places that we all can't be, and when possible, trying to transparency. Kind of, I also think of like communication and just making sure everyone feels like on the same page. So a lot of times we had a lot of work groups this summer, this past year, working on various topics, and I think being able to summarize some of the conversation, some of the thinking to the whole group was something I prided myself on, that transparency and communication skill or style. I know a lot of people have said it, but I think, definitely to be in a community building space, you need to be collaborative. And that's something that I think comes pretty easily for me. In my day job, I like to say I'm a puzzle master / my role is to get really smart people who are doing really smart ideas together and getting work done. And so my role is to always, collect the information, move forward, find the glue. And that really is part of my leadership style. I don't come at it as I have all the answers or I have all the opinions that need to be shared. I really try to center how we're getting a consensus or how we're bringing all the voices in, and in that style, I really do try to examine what's missing, who's not here, what's not being said, and I really do lean on all the members for their expertise and their perspective to sort of form some sort of decision moving forward or some sort of direction. And then the other one, I think my other style is approachable. I just really like to keep it, like I said, communicative and transparency, but also just I think I've said this before. Oh my
That's your
goodness.
time. You can finish
Okay.
your sentence, but
I'm a learner and I love to give grace of all the work that we're doing. And so being approachable means we're all living in the reality of how hard this work is as volunteers. And so that's how I approach my leadership style. Thanks.
Thanks, Ashley. And Noelle, same question to you.
Yeah. So this was a role I was considering or open to. I didn't actually think I would run, but Ashley reached out to me with a nomination, and I decided to accept that. Despite being a new member, I think it's an opportunity where I can learn, but also I am learning from you, and that will make me a great leader in this position. As far as my leadership style, for this role, obviously, I'm going to be adaptive as well as democratic, and really listen to what you guys have to say and take that information and apply it to how we can, especially in a community engaged role, building those relationships, I think is really important, and fostering the environment of trust. And I'm going to be doing as best as I can a lot of research on outreach and what's worked well for others in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Noelle. Moving on to question 2. PCCEP has been in recent talks about improving the structure of the committee. How do you see yourself contributing to these needed changes as a part of leadership? And you can begin now, Ashley.
Great, thank you. I'm really excited about the new structure and the path that we've been talking about. Definitely excited about the steering committee space. I think that was really lacking in this past year. A place for us to sort of talk and think long term and really get some consensus building with the leadership in the committee. So I really think that's going to make sort of a world's difference on how we want to change the subcommittees, and know those will evolve as we work out sort of the final touches. But I think we're definitely in a good, we have the core, and we've been able to practice on the core of what community engagement looks like over the last couple of years since I feel like I've been on the committee. And and so the implementation of the steering committee, I think, will give us, I think will make, honestly, the role of a co-chair on this subcommittee easier, because I see this role, I see this subcommittee being a place where we're doing some action items, like we're taking in sort of the consensus from the group, and we're saying, okay, this is where we need to go, and this is where we need to be, and this is where we need to be, that, you know, be that clearinghouse out in the community. So I'm really excited, because I think then it's not just a subcommittee deciding what to do. It's built around this consensus building and a more of a collaborative approach. And I think that structure will help us get there much easier. And again, I think the review of looking at the tasks that the subcommittee will do, the community subcommittee will do, I really like that direction. I think it gives us a little more tangible, like what do we do in the subcommittee compared to, you know, policy reform and compared to the full committee. I think reaching out to groups, building those relationships, that's all stuff that I'm really excited about doing, and that's why I wanted to, you know, raise my hand for this co-chair role. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. And Noelle.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep this somewhat short. I haven't been feeling well. That's why I missed out, unfortunately, on the last police training. But for this, when we're talking about restructuring, I think my part in this is to stay engaged, continue to participate, as well as be a listener and be adaptive to what's needed, and contributing where I can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Noelle. And final question of the evening. Question 3. Please describe your vision for the future of PCCEP over the course of the next year and beyond. Please be specific. This can include content you're interested in, methods of engagement, types of events, etc. And go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks. I think I've said it many times, and you know, I think my main focus, one of my main focuses, for vision of, so one of my focus is getting to PCCEP codification and building whatever those bridges are. I think that's where I see, because that's like the map to the future of PCCEP, where as we see the settlement, you know, go through its process, there will be a time when PCCEP isn't this requirement for the city. And so I think of it in that term, that really long-term strategy of how important PCCEP is. And I think with that said, we have a task to do to go and build relationships with the new city government and the new mayor. And, you know, I really appreciate the mayor's office being here so that they can kind of see the processes that we walk through to really be thoughtful and intentful about how we engage the community to the city. And I think, to quote Mayor Wheeler, which I never thought I would do, you know, his suggestion that we really need to remind the city government that, like, we are an important piece to their engagement goals. And I think, you know, building relationships with the city, each of the city councilors and the mayor's office, and then yeah, continue to build relationships out into the community with, you know, local community organizations. So I'm really excited about the direction that the subcommittee we're moving it towards. I think it's more putting us out there, and it's really like tying that relationship building. And so, yeah, I think some of those ways we've talked about in the past, and I think we have some movement forward, is around collaborating on ways we can get out to the district. So maybe going out to the coalition groups in each district or the neighborhood associations. I know we've talked about that in the past. You know, always thinking about how we're building relationships so we can expand our access. And like, again, that's like, what do people know about us? What do we do? And I think I'm really excited to dig into that some more as a group. And again, I think that new structure is something, I think the overall structure of the task is something I do like in my job, in my day job, in terms of building the pieces to get relationships and get people in the same room. And I also do some other advocacy work out in the community where I have learned, that relationship building, just like any relationship we have in our own personal life, is slow. It can be slow moving and it's delicate, and we have to be consistent with it. And so I'm excited to maybe really think of some work plans where we're figuring out, well, not how or why, I guess not like who we need to be touching out to, but like, um, you know, um, just like how and why we do something so that we're, capitalizing on the capacity we have as a committee and being intentful about like what our whole goal as a committee to do. Okay, thank you.
Great. And Noelle, last question of the evening.
Great. So I'm reading it now. So over the next year, as far as PCEP, I think what's going to be important is continuing to build these relationships. And I think as we get a new staff person that's involved, collaborating with them and kind of working as a team all together, we can create more events where we're actually having more community members involved, and not only just receiving feedback and hearing from community members, but also having the opportunity to educate others on the work that PCEP does is going to be really important, as well as I think, the role of PCEP is really building that trust and doing what, sorry, I'm hot right now. So my mind's kind of not there, but I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, I'm gonna be adaptive with this, and I'm looking forward to learning more. Thank you.
Adaptive is a great place to be in. Great state of mind to be in. All right, that concludes our questions for the evening. And once again, as we have 2 candidates and 2 seats, we can follow the process we have been doing. So at this time, if you would like to vote for Ashley for the position of the community-oriented subcommittee, please raise your hand and you may vote for yourself. All right, beautiful. That is unanimous. And you can keep your hands up or raise them again. If you would like to confirm Noelle to this position, please raise your hand. All right, once again, unanimous. Okay. Wonderful. I think it's really cool that we have one of our most long-standing members and one of our newest members forming this team, especially because, as you've all been discussing, there's, I think it takes some courage to take on this project of the community-focused subcommittee and some of the changes that we've been discussing. So the insights that you're gonna bring, just being, the long-standing and the brand new, I think is going to be really cool. And I really appreciate your courage and your leadership in stepping up to the plate on this one. So congratulations to both of you.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you.
So quiet in the Zoom, but I'm really so thrilled for the whole team. So we had, just to recap, we have Odelia and Devante as full committee, and we can congratulate them.
Yay.
And we have Kip and Tia as the policy and reform subcommittee co-chairs. Congratulations. And we have Ashley and Noelle as our community focused subcommittee co-chairs. Congratulations to all 6 of you. Really thrilled with this outcome. Wow, we really took up our time today. It is 8:28, so I'm just gonna move us right into open public comment. Um,
Will you
oh,
open the chat again too?
yes, we will open the chat again. And I apologize. I do want to acknowledge the service of our prior leadership team as listed here. So including some former members, Celeste Carey as full committee co-chair, and Byron Vaughn as settlement and policy co-chair. And then a lot of these folks stepping into new roles or stepping up into into different ones. Really, really thrilled to see it. Okay, and now let's move to open public comment. If you have anything to share with us, please raise your hand at this time.
I see Debbie. Go ahead, Debbie.
Hi, thank you. I'm Debbie Iona. I'm a former member of the Police Accountability Commission, and I wanted to suggest that you all consider putting a little bit of time on your agenda at your meetings where we could receive updates on what's going on with the selection of the new oversight board. Right now, it feels like it's all a mystery. It's all happening behind closed doors. And I think it'd be really, helpful for the public to know kind of where things are in the process and other details of what's going on. And I know there's a staff person now, so maybe that's the person who could come and present, or perhaps the city attorney's office, but there must be somebody who knows who could come and share that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie. I see Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Hi, this is Dan Handelman. I use he, him pronouns. I'm with the group Portland Cop Watch. I second what Ms. Iona just said, but I would also add that there's been a lot of stuff going on in the last week and a half around police issues. Yesterday, the issue of the police oversight system was at a subcommittee meeting where they had 31 people signed up to testify. They ran out of time after the first 13. I was lucky enough to have signed up early for that. They decided not to take a vote on the proposal, which was to define what bias means, which was something that you were all, well, those of you who were there were concerned about in the way that the city code was written. And there were statements made that the contract with the PPA had to be renegotiated. It's not really clear that the PPA negotiated that as part of their contract. It was negotiated in 2024 and their contract was resolved in 2022. So I think there was a lot of misinformation going around, and it was very discouraging in some ways, some of the discussion that happened. If you haven't seen that hearing, you might want to watch it back on replay. The previous week, on Wednesday night, the 19th of February, if people don't recognize that date, that's the anniversary of when the executive order for the FBI and other government agents to round up all the Japanese Americans on the West Coast and put them in internment camps came out back in the 1940s. And it happened to also be the day that we're hearing the annual report about the Joint Terrorism Task Force, which I've mentioned to you many times before. And that's where the Portland police work with the FBI on cases of, supposedly cases of terrorism and hate crimes and threats to life. But the reports are very threadbare, and the city council members were very pointed in asking the police, why are we going to be part of this if the FBI is going to start deporting people based on their nationality instead of any criminal activity? And the police, to their credit, said that they're only going to work on cases that have to do with actual crimes, for what that's worth. Then the confirmation of Chief Day happened, and the part of that conversation I want to relate to you all is that he said that the police have a really good relationship with the community now, and people are asking for more law enforcement. This is something else the Police Association president said at the hearing yesterday. And I think part of the reason that that perception is happening is that a lot of people who are oppressed by police are becoming a smaller portion of Portland's population because nobody can afford to live here anymore. So the people who normally would come out and testify are not even able to live in Portland. So that doesn't mean that what the Portland police is doing is better. It just means you're not hearing as many voices expressing when something bad is happening in their community. All right, so that's my testimony for tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dan. I have Odelia next.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if anyone could give an update on what Debbie Iona asked for. I know Sarah Ames is here. I don't know if you could provide an update for everyone on like the nominating committee with the CBPA.
I think by the end of the week, the nominating committee will be constituted and named publicly. That's my understanding. Samir has just raised his hand, and I know that the council members were appointing members to the nominating committee, so maybe he has even better information.
I'll just
ahead,
quickly add, Odelia, if and other members, if it is something you decide as a subcommittee or full committee or whatever that you would like to receive updates on, I'm happy to coordinate with that staff person who probably has if not the most information, is a great source of information. So that might be worked out based on your direction as well.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Councilman Cano.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Good to see everyone here. Congratulations to Odelia, Devontae, Kip, Tia, Ashley, and Noel. I was actually going to comment on something different. I will say the nominating committee, at least the community members, have been named to it, and I'm fairly confident that the citizen review committee members have been named to it. I can't speak to the OEHR representative or the police chief, PPA or PPCOA representatives, but I think Sarah Ames's comment there might be the most helpful there. As it relates to the comment I was going to make was that one of the questions that came up in our budget conversations at the Community and Public Safety Committee was understanding the cost of implementation of the contact survey process, which was recommended by PCCEP. And I'm both telling you that because that's something that the chief offered to follow up on. And I hope that information will also, and will commit to sharing it from my end with you, because you deserve to know that. But also as a broader way of saying that if there's ever something that I am not aware of that you would like to know more information about that relates to a PCCEP recommendation, I'm always happy to bring those up in the Community and Public Safety Committee. And that's something that I think is part of our broader commitment from several members of the new council to making sure that when you serve on an advisory committee in this city, that service is meaningful. And certainly I have a experience that makes me favorable towards this particular committee, but I think in particular the work of PCCEP is a really core part of how we do better as a city. And so I want to make sure that I'm helping to daylight those concerns. So look forward to talking to all of you, and happy to hear from Dan in the comments about the OEHR representative being chosen. That's good to know as well. But yeah, thank you all, and look forward to talking to you all soon. And oh, one other thing. And I've mentioned this to the mayor in our first meeting that PCCEP needs another staffer. And when that comes into the context for budget requests, that's something that I'm not the only one who's asked for, I've been told. So just wanted to mention that, and hopefully it'll be part of the budget proposals.
Thank you, Councilman. Carrie?
Thank you. Samir, thanks for the update too regarding the council's discussion about the contact survey and the chief's response. Just for everyone's updates, because I serve on the task force for that as PCCEP's representative, on February 12th, we were informed that the RFP is almost ready to go out. With all the new government structure, it's been a little bit of a challenge to focus on that when daily life was busy for them. And the budget we were talking about was $100,000 for the trial, and then afterwards deciding whether or not it would be a full program. So just a quick update.
Thank you, Carrie. I'll take a beat here to see if anybody else has any comments or questions or wants to share information.
I guess I have one thing I can share in public comment. PCEP staff has been working with, we work with our amici partners, the Mental Health Alliance and the Albina Ministerial Alliance Coalition for Justice and Police Reform to coordinate trainings for PCEP. We are in the process of, well, we have scheduled it, and PCEP members, you may have seen it on your calendars, scheduling the training with Mental Health Alliance, and that is going to take the form of a film screening of the film called Alien Boy, The Life and Death of James Chassie. And that will be at the Clinton Theater on April 7th, I'm pretty sure. So just want to give you a heads up about that and what the impetus of that event is. There will also be a discussion, a framing and a discussion after that screening. So just a quick heads up there, as you may have seen it pop up on your calendars, and it will be open to the public.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Dory. Viva, and then Kip.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, I just did my ride along with the North Portland precinct. So I just wanted to kind of report out about that and just share. It was really a great experience and really informative. The officer, he goes by Rudy, their Officer Rudy, was just really welcoming. And Devontae was talking about the impact and importance of wellness to police and their ability to be effective in their positions. And I got a lot of insight by just that experience and the amount of coverage they have, just the staffing levels and how that impacts it as well. So I'm eager to kind of see how that comes up in some of our discussions and how we can integrate some of those needs and concerns in terms of our focuses. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Eva. Kip?
Yeah, I just realized what time it is, so I'm just going to say thank you, everybody. And if you can make the showing of Alien Boy, please do. It's a pretty intense film, but it's a lot of what happened there, plus some other things, are why we're here today. So it's make an effort if you haven't seen it.
Thank you, Kip. Since I don't see any more hands up, Dory, should we go ahead and go to the closing slides? Okay. So what's next? Upcoming PCEP dates and events. Wednesday, March 5, Policy and Reform Subcommittee meeting from 6 to 8. All public meetings will be from 6 to 8 over Zoom unless otherwise noted. Special meetings and training dates are subject to change based on presenter availability and may be rescheduled. Next slide,
Yes.
please. Oh,
And
question? Oh, great.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Leslie.
thank you. Just quick question on now that the subcommittees are, confirmed. For the members that are not chairs and co-chairs, how do we go about selecting our subcommittee?
That's a great question. I will send out an email and see if it feels like we could sort it out that way. But obviously next Wednesday is very quick. That is just our regular meeting cadence. And so I think we will kind of figure out the next month and what that looks like for you all. And if we can decide how membership shakes out via email prior to those meetings, that would be great. If not, we may have some more some more meetings may need to be had before we get there. Long way of saying I will send you more information. It's 8:42.
Thank you, Dory. So on that note, have a great rest of the evening. Thank you for being here today. We did a lot of great work. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to our new leadership. So excited for you. Thank you so much for stepping up. I'll see you all soon. I'll be in touch.
Sorry.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Good
Thank
night.
you
Bye,
all. Good night.
everyone.
Night.